Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, what I wanted to talk on is WWE firing all these different wrestlers. I mean, here's the thing. Look, I don't know what's going on at the WWE headquarters. I don't know if they're trying to make space for somebody. I don't know if they're trying to, just get rid of space because they feel like that they just got too much. But man, I'm telling you, it's super crazy that these wrestlers are getting fired, and it's like there's no real explanation for it. You know, I would at least like to know why these wrestlers got fired, because when you sit down and think about it, these wrestlers got fans all across the world. So you got to think of it as like this. So let's say there's just like one big like Monday Night Raw showing, right? And people know that Braun Strowman is signed to Raw. People know that. So you know that this man has fans. So why would you put that in jeopardy of having it where like he's no longer working for the company and then he goes work for another company? You guys are losing out on fans. Like, I don't think you guys like fully understand that, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, is there something behind it? So I guess it's funny how I'm like, I don't really be on conspiracy theories that much, but this is going to be like the one time. I guess this doesn't. It's just me trying to guess, like, you know, what's going on. I wouldn't necessarily call this episode conspiracy theory, but it's just more so trying to figure out, like, what's the future for WWE, because I don't know if, like, firing these wrestlers, like, maybe it's a part of a storyline. Like, you know, like I sit down and think about it. I'm like, hey, yo, that would be like kind of like of a dope storyline where WWE, it's kind of like a WCW versus WWE, because I'm like, that caused a lot of media attention back in the day. So if it was something like that, then I'm like, okay, you guys should do that. Because think about it. There's no wrestling show that comes on what, the weekends maybe, Thursday. Like, there's a lot of, like, you know, days where it's like you guys can overall. Well, I know that they got Monday Night Raw, Tuesday night NXT, Friday night SmackDown. So, you know, Wednesdays is definitely locked down with AEW. But, like, what about Saturday or any other day? You know, I know Sundays is usually pay-per-view days or something. But it's like, have it where it's like, okay, you know, these wrestlers that you guys are firing, have it where it's like a pay-per-view thing. Or, you know, it's an event that's like going on like a WCW versus WWE thing. But it's like, to fire these talented wrestlers, like the two most talented wrestlers, I have to say, in recent times, when they would like go up against I remember they had two crazy matches, I think, before the pandemic. Yeah, definitely it was before the pandemic. But they had two crazy matches, and it was Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. I remember when they had these two like back-to-back matches, and I don't know if there's like some previous things that was going on like back, like maybe if they were a part of NXT or something, and I missed some things because I didn't really watch NXT until it started coming back on TV and stuff. So anyways, them two had they had like these two really good matches, to the point where I was like, you know, there be at times where I would watch wrestling, but I won't be like really watching it. I'll probably be like working on some videos or editing some videos. Probably might record some podcast episodes and stuff. But I remember I was hooked to the TV when I seen that them two was wrestling. And then when I seen that they were having another wrestling match, because you didn't really know who was going to win or not. So that's why I'm like, them two, why? Braun Strowman, y'all was like, you know what? Here's the thing. I just didn't really expect them to fire him, but I will have to admit, like, and maybe that's the same with Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. I'm like, I haven't even really seen him on TV in a while and stuff, so it's like now thinking about it and things. And then Lana, I'm like, well, what about freaking Naomi? Because I'm like, she has, like, that's her partner and stuff. So it's like, what's up with that? Like, that's why. And then it's like, they start up wrestling like nothing ever happened. You know, like, oh, we're just going to ignore that. You can't ignore something like that. You can't just. That's why I'm like, WWE isn't really honest. You know, like, when stuff like that goes down, like, okay, tie it into the storyline, you know, or have it where it's like, okay, like a wrestler will address it and things like, you know, like Naomi, for an example. Naomi comes out and she's like, I ain't got my partner, but I'm gonna do this for her, like, you know, just like in spirit or things, or, you know, just overall, like, this is for her, this last, you know, something. But like, having it where these wrestlers overall get fired and then there's no explanation and then there's like no, you know, legitimate reason. Because I'm like, I was saying that for the longest, but I've read online, I think they say he's starting like a real estate company, but Bo Dallas. And I was saying it for the longest that him and Bray Wyatt, his real life brother, need to have some sort of storyline together. I had been saying that for the longest, and maybe that was passed around, and maybe he didn't want to do that story. But I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, that would have caused something. That would have definitely caused something. It definitely would have been WWE's one of their better storylines. Because I'm like, at the end of the day, what would you guys rather see? Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt, you know, to have some sort of storyline where they're either working together or going up against each other, where it's like Bo Dallas, you know, he's either trying to be like his brother or he's going up against his brother. And it's like, I feel like that would be interesting. Or would you guys rather see it where it was the Bobby Lashley and Lana and like in the Rusev storyline? Wasn't it? Well, I think there was like some other things that happened. There was another rivalry after that. But what would you guys rather see? Because I remember how everybody was talking about that and how much they hated that storyline. So it's like, what would you guys rather see? For my wrestling fans out there, would you rather see that storyline or the Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt storyline? Because I'm telling you right now, like the ideas, let's just overall look up all the WWE, because I'll come up with stories for them all right now. Recently fired WWE wrestlers. I'll come up with stories for them all right now. Billy. Okay, so Samoa Joe. There's multiple storylines. You could just overall just give this man, because this man is good on the mic. So if you guys just put him in a championship match, like, you could be doing what you were doing with him before. And it's like Samoa Joe, like, that's the one dude where it's like, regardless of whether people love him or hate him, that man, he's good on the mic. So it's like, or you could have continued having it where he was like, or you could even have it where he had like his own like TV show where he like interviewed wrestlers, because it seems like that he's like I said, good on the mic. So it seems like he'd be that type of person that'll ask a wrestler a hard-hitting question. So it's like, this man, like, you know, if he didn't really want to do a whole lot of wrestling, okay, have it where it's like he has like a WWE Network TV show or a Peacock TV show. I don't know what you guys is really doing nowadays with that. But anyways, yeah, you guys could have had it where he did, you know, he had like a TV show. But if it was like wrestling, give this man like a championship match. Like, this man would kill it as a champion. He has before. But anyways, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, I know that they were tag team partners before, but it's like, you guys can have it where it's like, it seemed like their rivalry, because then they had like a little rivalry a little bit, and it was like, and it seemed like it didn't like go anywhere. So it's like, that's why I remember, I think it was the USA Network where they were the ones that said that WWE needs to be a little bit more darker. So I think maybe if their, you know, rivalry would have been a little bit more darker, kind of like, you know how like that Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy rivalry was a few years ago, something along those lines, but then their own twist to it. You know, where it's like, it's dark, but at the same time, you know, it ain't like super. I knew that storyline was dark. I was like, that was some crazy stuff. Mickie James, you guys could have had it where it was like, you know, she could have been like a leader of the women's division or something. Because I'm like, Mickie James has been in the game for I don't know how long now. So it's like, you could have had it where it was like she could be a leader of some sorts, where she's kind of like a manager, you know, type position. Or like for an example, Paul Heyman, where it's like, you guys could have did something like that, but she's like getting involved and she's like wrestling and stuff. So it could have been something like that. Because I'm like, hey, yo, like, it don't even matter, like, you know, what the wrestler does, as long as they're on TV and they're doing some crazy things, like, hey, yo, like, it can work and stuff. So I'm like, there, you guys go with that. I don't know who Chelsea Green is, but you guys could have very well had it where it's like, okay, her and WWE, her and Mickie James could have been like tag team partners or something. Tucker, you guys, like, it seemed like after his split with the Otis, you guys didn't even, like, y'all had like no stories for him, and it's like, you guys could have had it where it was like him and Otis could have been going up against each other, where they could have had more of a rivalry and stuff. Because I'm like, bro, imagine this, where it, like, because, you know, these guys seem like that they had like a very like southern backside, like, you know, background history to them and stuff. So if it could have been like a swamp match, or, you know, some memorable matches with them two, because I'm like, them two could definitely have some memorable matches. These guys are two heavyweights. and you put them in a ring, and you think that like that whole ring just wouldn't collapse, just the amount of pressure that them two will have, they definitely could have had a rivalry thing, or a rivalry thing going on. Kalisto, actually, what would be really dope, because so far, what they've had, like it seems like that they're leading into like a Samoan faction of wrestling, and I believe they've had like African American like factions of wrestling. How come we've never seen like a Hispanic like faction of wrestling? That's something that I've never seen before. So I'm saying like Kalisto, and I know there's like, I can't really remember all these wrestlers' names. Like, I suck at remembering names. But him, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, what are some other wrestlers? I'm like, yeah, all the like Hispanic wrestlers where it's like they have a faction, and they could, like that, I'm telling you, that can be some memorable stuff where it's like, in the cruiserweight division or wherever, like it could overall like be something. So Bo Dallas, I've said how many, what I want from Bo Dallas, and I'm like, that's either something going on with his brother. So I'm like, you guys, y'all really wasted. I feel like that's like the key wrestler. You guys could have did something with him, or could have had it where it was like, he was like it could have been like a Fiend like type storyline where it's like, he tried to like break him down or something. It was like, I'm just wanting to get my brother back, and it's like Bray Wyatt is actually just a regular person, but at the same time, like, he got this Fiend thing about him and things. So I don't know. It could have been like some exorcism type stuff. But anyways, Mojo Rawley, you guys, now he could have been a person on the mic, because he seemed like he had been that man had like a lot of energy about him. So he could have definitely been good on the mic, like, commentary or something, or even like, because you guys had, what was that one football player's name? Freaking, he plays with Tom Brady. Hold on for a second. Because I'm like, I know him. Like, I just, dang, what is that man's name? And, okay, hold on. And you already know. And Gronkowski. So it's like, you guys had it where it's like something was going on with them. So it's like, you guys could have had it where it's like him and Gronkowski. I'm like, I don't know if he's still like into the wrestling stuff, Gronkowski, but I'm like, something could have happened with him. Wesley Blake. I don't know who Wesley Blake is. Let me look them up real quick. Okay, they seem like that I think this is like, there's this like one like wrestling faction, there's like the Forgotten Sons. They had them like show up one time on TV, and then after that it was done, they were over with. And I'm like, dang, okay, so I guess they overall won't be worried about them. No, so he's been in the WWE for some time now. Oh, him and Murphy, they both had like wow, I didn't know that. And Alexa Bliss, I did not know that. When was this? Oh, this was from 2014 to 2016. Yeah, I wasn't watching NXT at that time, but yeah, you guys could have very well did something to him. And then today, like with the wrestlers that they released, Braun Strowman, I'm like, okay, so it's like you guys could have had it where it was like him, Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe. They could have had like some dope wrestling matches and stuff. Same with Aleister Black. Like, you guys had it where it was like he was here and he was doing these promotions and things, but it was like, it didn't lead to nothing. So I'm like, okay, the man is coming back. It's going to be some dope matches and things, even when he very first appeared on TV. Or, on the main, because I've seen him when he appeared on the main roster. I didn't really know who he was prior before that. Because like I said, I wasn't watching NXT. But it was like, something good could have happened out of that. With Lana, I'm like, you guys seem like, you guys had it where it was like she was doing good with, with Naomi. But I'm like, honestly though, with Lana, I'm like, I think it's just weird, when her husband works for AEW and then she's working for WWE and he's the champion. Like, it can honestly, this is what I see from Lana in the future. I honestly do see it where it's going to be like some old classic, like Rusev and Lana, like, well, it's going to probably, her name is going to be something else, but I do see it where it's going to be like the classic, like Rusev and Lana. Like, that's what I definitely see from them guys. Because how they ended their rivalry off, like, at the end, that's probably why they got rid of Lana, because of that. So I'm like, yeah, I think it's best she goes over to AEW, and she's just gonna kill it over there, either being a wrestler or just being well, they call him like freaking Miro now, but his manager and things. But Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott, she's definitely a wrestler where I'm like, that she seems like that she has a lot in her. Like where she can have a lot to like, do in wrestling and things. She just seems like that she's definitely that person where she can have like a dark storyline and stuff. And she'll kill it. She'll kill it. I'm like, I think you guys could have very well did a lot with her and stuff. Same with Buddy Murphy. You guys had it where it was like he was Seth Rollins' like right hand man, and it was like they kind of had like a rivalry thing going on. But it's like you guys could have gave it where it's like even with so going back to Ruby Riott, has she? I don't think she's ever won the championship, like the women's championship. And I'm like, you guys could have very well did something, with that where it's like she won the women's championship, but. Anyways, she's 30 years old. I don't know why. I thought she was like 20 something. She does not look 30, bruh. But anyways, championships. So nothing for WWE. You mean to tell me she's been in the company for how long? And she's not one championship? Not even a tag team championship? That's crazy. That is some crazy stuff. And she's been, Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is like still kind of technically like WWE, because I don't know, I don't really hear of no other wrestlers appearing like on OVW and then they, go to another, well maybe, I don't know, but anyways, WWE. So from 2016 to 2021 is where she signed with WWE. So I'm like, bruh, you guys, you had her in the dang. She's only been involved with wow, that's crazy. The Riot Squad. Who was the other girl that was on the Riot? Sarah Logan. Is she a part of? Oh, she retired. Oh, she retired last year. Wow. I remember there was a third girl, but it was like they just hadn't really said or did anything with her. How old is she? She's 27 years old. I guess it makes sense. They said she has a child, so I'm like, oh, that would make sense. Wait a second, she's married to the dude from the Viking Raiders, or yeah, wow, I did not know that. I feel like I heard of this, but I just didn't. Well, okay, she could have overall been. Well, she retired, so I'm like, she, probably at home taking care of the kid and stuff, but. That makes sense. That makes sense. I don't know. Maybe there might have been other reasons why she retired, but yeah, but I'm like, you guys could have very well had like a Riot Squad reunion. I'm like, people be loving them reunions and stuff. So, yeah, but it's like Buddy Murphy, if he doesn't get like a main championship run, have it where it's like, and you guys could have very well did that with them, but it's like, have it where it's like an Intercontinental or like a United States Championship run or something, or 24/7 run or something. Santana Garrett. I didn't know who she was, but I did see her name was up here. I was just like, you guys could have very well introduced her to the main roster. And yeah, Samoa Joe. Then there's like them two, Mickey James, Chelsea Green, Tucker, Kalisto, Wesley, and Steve Cutler. And that was like that whole like Forgotten Sons. You guys could have very well did something with that. Velveteen Dream. Oh, I remember this guy. Yeah, you guys could have very well had it where it's like he got into the main roster. Alexander Wolf, he could have got into the main roster. Isra Judge, Skylar Story, Vanessa Bourne, I don't know. Jessamine Duke. You could have did something with her. Kavita Disputed. Who's Kavita Devi? I don't know who this is. Oh, well, it's like, y'all says she's still with the... Oh. Sets the story straight. Oh, so she's still with WWE. That's why it says disputed. I was like, wait a minute, what? Lars Sullivan. Now, he's the one wrestler where I'm like, yeah, after that whole situation with him, I can see why, like, they released him. Because he just wasn't... After that whole situation came out, I think WWE just really wasn't looking at him the same. Because people were still talking about his past situation. So... Yeah, I think, if that stuff would have never came out, he probably still would be in WWE today. But since it did, I just honestly think that ruined his career. So I think it will take time for him to, get back into the spotlight and things with wrestling. But he definitely is going to have to clear his name. But Andrade, like, you guys could have had it where it was like him and Charlotte Flair. Because I know they'd be liking to do like that that couple stuff. Then it was like non-wrestlers, couple of referees, Tom Phillips. I was like, I don't really be paying attention to people outside like the non-wrestlers, but I'm like, Tom Phillips, I'm like, hey yo, that's a big name. Why y'all get rid of him? But anyways, I'm like, yeah, bro, this stuff with WWE is crazy. And I'm like, you guys need to have it where it's like some big faction or something goes down. Or like, where these guys is going out and just attacking like the wrestlers or something. Or you guys need to give an explanation on why you're firing these wrestlers. Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure they got families and bills and all these other different things that they need to, do and take care of. And I'm like, it's overall messed up. But it's like, I have to say, because, I can somewhat relate. It's like when you're just getting laid off and things and you don't really expect it. It's like, I did have a backup plan, which was YouTube. But, and it's like, with these guys, I'm like, yeah, they very well can, do some things like wrestling or get into some other, like, form of like creating something. I don't know. Or, still like look around to see what other like wrestling promotions will hire them. I'm pretty sure AEW seems like they're just getting filled with wrestlers though. But I'm like, they probably could use some more wrestlers and things. And it's like, if they're coming out with another show, oh yeah, I think they have it where it's like all the wrestlers that's on their show right now on AEW, they have it where it's like they're doing their thing, and then this new show that's supposed to be coming out, oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be AEW. They're gonna definitely be competing with WWE here soon. So yeah, I'm like, it's gonna be crazy with AEW. I definitely say that much. So I'm like, yeah, WWE, y'all is messing up. I really don't know what you guys is doing, but I remember it was a long time ago. I think it was Jim Ross that said that. He said WWE would last until like 2014. And I remember him saying something. I think I remember him saying something along those lines. I was like, I don't know. You guys gonna have to like dig deep in the like WWE archive. But I feel like I remember something like that. If not, then I was just having a very like, weird dream where he did say some stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't feel like it was a dream or anything. But anyways, but yeah, I'm like, okay, he might have been a little bit, early on it. But I do think WWE, you guys are going to be like another TNA Impact situation where nobody's not watching you guys, because I'm saying like you guys is getting rid of these wrestlers, and it's like, I mean, WWE, like what they got going on now, it's still interesting and it's still entertaining, but it just seems like it's very, very empty right now. So it's like like the wrestling matches, it's like you guys need to have it where it's like, y'all like, okay, so 1 week we have it where it's like all the wrestlers that don't have storylines, we build something up for them, have it where it's like, okay, they're wrestling 1 week, and then the next week, then it's like, okay, then that's when you guys have it where it's like Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, all the big names and stuff, and then have it where they wrestle 1 week, and then the other week, then it's, do that. But it's like, you guys are just out here firing wrestlers so quick, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess they won't be doing nothing. So, but I don't know. Let's wait and see what goes down with them. But anyways, and that being said, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. If you're viewing this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're viewing this on the podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. Make sure you subscribe to one of my 32 YouTube channels. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at TMossBoss. Like my page on Facebook at TMossBoss fan page. And if you are purchasing any tickets from SeatGeek, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss. It will knock $20 off your first purchase. So yeah, and that being said, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.